Hello, I'm Jackson Lee, and this is my video assignment 3. So right here we got assignment 2 that I did a little while ago, and we'll be going through it. So let's see. To start with, we'll go over the main function here, where the input values are for each of the functions are defined as like double, integer, or whatever variables. Yeah, so it will print asking for the user to enter in the input, and then it will scan and assign that value to the variables here. Let's see. Okay, so right here we have all of the user-defined functions. This is just like the little prototype defining them, or I forgot the exact name, but anyways, this is one of the ways that we're just defining all our functions. So cylinder calc, it calculates the volume of a cylinder given radius and height. Same thing for this one, but instead of volume, it's finding the surface area. For ticket cost, it's finding a total cost of tickets between a certain amount of adults and children. And convert time, here finding it's splitting up a certain amount of seconds into days, hours, minutes, and whatever seconds are left over. And compute expression here, we just use the input value of n to evaluate a function, like an f of x function, but instead of x, we have n there. And we then get the value from that. So scrolling down to the actual functions here, you notice there might be a lot. The reason why we just have so many different separate functions is just actually for organization. It may look messy now, but if all this code were all to be done inside the main function, it would be a lot more messy, and we'd have to deal with a lot more inputs and outputs moving around inside the main function. So by having these external functions, we can all just move that out here and keep it segmented for organization. Okay, so two examples of the functions that I want to go over here are the ticket cost and print surface area functions. So we'll start here with ticket cost. So as I said before, it gets these inputs from the main, or it takes these inputs which are gotten from the main function, let's see, like right here. And then what happens is it will use those inputs multiplying by the cost in the ticket for each amount, or per each amount of adults and children, and then total those costs up to get the total cost of tickets for whatever field trip that this function may be based on or may be used for. And actually for this I can go over both of these functions at the same time. So radius and height are the parameters for the print surface area function, as adults and children are the parameters for ticket cost. They do the same thing, but for a different set of code here. But essentially still the same thing, where the values are being plugged in for the function or to retrieve some result. The reason we need these parameters is it is the way the function actually knows what value to assign these inputs down here. So like everything below the function line is what it would already know, but these parts here are sort of like a little stand-in that the parameters will fill once it gets that value from the main function. That's why the parameters are important. Otherwise the function does not know what to do and is useless. So not both of these functions, but the ticket cost function down here does return the value of the total cost, as I said before. This print surface area function doesn't return something, but I'll get into that in just a minute. So the reason that ticket cost here returns a total cost is because in the main function, let's see right here, that is being used in a print statement here. So this section that is calling the function will be replaced with the return value when we get that. Now, unlike ticket cost for the print surface area, it's a void function, so nothing is returned, and it instead prints its output inside the function. And the reason for that is it can sometimes just make it more compact. In this case, it was mostly just for the project requirements, but yeah, I just like how it keeps it compact. So this is actually what I would prefer most of the time if I didn't need to return it to be used in either a print statement, or it might be used for other things, which is why I would return it if I needed to use it for something other than a print statement. Okay, so now I'm going to be picking a different function to walk through. We'll go with convert times here. So when we start this function, it starts in the main where the user gets prompted to enter a certain amount of total seconds, which will then be converted to the variable or total seconds, which becomes the parameter for this function. Then we evaluate the days, hours, minutes, and seconds that the total seconds would be equal to. And we do this by dividing it first by this number here, which is the amount of seconds in a day. And since it's an integer, it will only take the first integer value as the day. Then we do the same for hours, but instead of a total seconds, we are taking the remainder of the previous expression here and then dividing it by the associated amount of seconds in an hour. Rinse and repeat for minutes, and that only changes with the seconds down here, which is when we're just getting the remainder of it all. So this, like the print service area, is another void function, so the result will be printed out instead of returned. Just like thing before I finish. One tricky thing that I had to work with was pi here. I tried to define it as a macros before, but that led to a lot of issues when I was trying to implement it into the functions here. So now it is just a double variable that of the same value. Also, I had to move it to the middle because for a reason when I used this symbol to multiply, it thought I was trying to use the pointer. Alright, that should be all, but thank you for watching, and this has been Video Assignment Free.